Hi friends, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So I want to have a chat with you about what's going on in the news headlines today, and also to talk about money. So first headline today, a Fed rate cut is finally within view. So basically we're talking, hey, the market wants a cut from the Fed in about September. I think there's like a 90% chance of that. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's been the narrative that they want you to be thinking about. Also too, we talked about this. I made a couple of videos on this topic because it's so crazy. Trump says he'll make a national Bitcoin reserve, and one of the Republican senators was saying, yo, USA, we should buy 1 million Bitcoins. That is a real thing. Also too, make America Tesla again, another headline. And basically just to that one is, why would Mr. Musk essentially support Trump full on, and what is he looking for to gain out of the said thing? Also too, Kamala Harris raises $200 million in first week of presidential campaign. It seems at the moment she's pulling a rabbit out of her hat, or I should say a money rabbit out of the hat. That's what elections are all about. Here's another headline. Rural towns are aging, cash-strapped, and in desperate need of workers. And this is actually a major problem in the USA and many countries around the world, is we have a generational differences on how many children we have these days, right? So basically, we have a lot of old people and not enough workers to support said old people, which we'll talk about in a moment here. Also, too, another headline. China defends manufacturing push, said world needs more EVs. And, we've been hearing this for quite a while, where the US and China are sort of, arguing and fighting over trade, who makes what and who is sending what products to which countries. At the moment, the USA is trying to cut off chips, AI chips, this kind of stuff, heading towards China. And also, too, the USA is trying to cut off Chinese-made EVs heading toward the USA. And another headline, Australia rate hike debate set to crescendo with inflation data. This is actually an interesting one. For those of you in Australia, you can please chime in. But I guess inflation in Australia may be around like 4%, something like that. Pretty nuts. So they're talking about possibly raising rates, even though here, or I should say there, because you're in the USA, I'm in Korea, but the Americans are talking about cutting rates. And I wanted to start our discussion with the headlines of the day today, because I think it's good to set a context of sort of, what we're talking about. And the main lesson I want you to get from today is stick to your game plan. And, do pay attention to the outside world. Don't be completely oblivious. Don't hide your head in the sand, but stick to your game plan. Because there's always going to be stuff, and there's always going to be news that's going to freak you out and be like, oh no, you got to sell everything, go run away in the hills and, hide your money in the mattress. There's always going to be some sort of how can I say, event, politician or, business person that's going to make you feel that way. Or there's always going to be some sort of person to be like, hey, you got to do this now. There's a short timer. You got to act quickly, these kind of things. There's always going to be something that's going to throw you off your game plan. And I want you to think about also, too, what is your game plan? For some people, their game plan is follow their favorite influencer or favorite business person and just put all your trust in them. I'll tell you the truth, guys. When you follow people like, we'll say, Mr. Musk or someone on YouTube, they don't know your individual circumstances, right? They have no idea. They don't know who you are. They don't know, what your needs are. They don't know what your family needs are. And so this is a kind of situation to where you need to do what's best for you. I try to help you, talk sanity in today's world, because honestly, guys, I see all this crazy stuff on YouTube, etc., and I just feel like it's like world gone mad. We have, former President Trump saying, hey, we need to all buy Bitcoin and put it in our Federal Reserve. And then like another senator from the Republican side was like, yo, we need to buy 1 million Bitcoins. I was like, are these people crazy? and that's the kind of stuff to where like, hey, you need to stick to your game plan, right? So let me give you guys a very basic and simple example that is good for you to think about. One is, when you're managing your home finances, is to say, okay, every single month, I'm going to put a set percentage of my income coming in, and I'm going to save and invest that, right? You're going to be really, really strict on that kind of thing, and I would recommend putting in something safe. Now, I know if you watch YouTube, these kind of things, they'll say, oh, guys, crypto is the safest things out there, as well. The cool kids are doing these kind of things, and this is a big warning sign, right? If something is filled with a lot of hype, if something is getting lots of clicks and views, if something's really, really popular, it's probably not going to be that good. I'm just being honest with you, because the reality is, if you go out and you ask the average person on the street, the average American, etc., what are you doing with your money? Are you good with managing money? Chances are that they're not good with money, and chances are they don't know what the heck they're doing, right? They're just buying into the next thing. It's like every time, and it's sort of why we go through the news, I read through the headlines, there's always some elderly couple out there that completely got scammed of all of their retirement kind of thing. And it's funny and sad to like talk about these stories. It's funny because it's like, oh my God, how could you believe that this random internet person on social media wants to cuddle with you, and and then suddenly their uncle gets sick and you got to send them a whole bunch of money, right? That kind of, like, how could you fall for that? But like, people fall for this stuff because in a way they're looking to get scammed, right? There's something missing in their life psychologically, for whatever reason. Everyone's situation is going to be different, but they're setting themselves up for that kind of thing, and essentially looking for any sort of hope. They're desperate. It's the same way with, say, you have these politicians now are like, yo, we're going to put our money, the government's money, the federal government's money into like Bitcoin to get ourselves out of national debt, which is, in my view, crazy. But this is the kind of world that we live in. And then all these people going along with it, and you go to these Bitcoin conventions, and then you buy these VIP tickets to go sit with Mr. Trump, and it's like, this is real, this is the numbers. It was like $844,000, and if you want your picture, it's like $100,000 for your couple. And it's like, what the heck are people doing? It's just, there's so much hype out there, and there's always this like next greatest thing, and it knocks you off your plan, right? Remember I told you in the very beginning of this video is like, hey, stick to your plan of pick a percentage, right? Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe 30%. Whatever money comes in, you're gonna like lock that away and don't even think about it, don't even look at it. And so the point I'm trying to make, guys, is that there's always something that is gonna kick you off your plan, right? And one of the things you need to do right away is sort of take that decision making out of your hands. What I mean by that is make the decision once that you're gonna save X amount of dollars every single month, divert that to a particular account. Have that account in a way that is not on your phone, only on your computer. What I mean on your phone, because if something's on your phone, you're constantly going to be looking at it all the time. Guys, trust me, I have apps on my phone. I'm not doing anything. I'm like, oh, how much money I got there? How much money I got there? Like, I'm always checking said thing. And one of the best things that you can do for yourself is have a separate account that's not on your phone, so you're not checking it all the time and not essentially touching it. You want to divert that money, every month right away. And I state this very clearly because essentially there's always something that's going to come up that will knock you off your plan, right? I'll give you an example. There could be a birthday, right? There's a birthday coming up and you're like, this year for your birthday, we're going to go out and we're going to go to like the most fancy restaurant that we've always talked about going. Then we're going to take that weekend trip we've also talked about going to, right? There's always going to be a birthday. Or, for example, there was an interesting article where it said that 56% of Americans now are okay saying no to someone's wedding invitation, because this is also a real thing. There's always going to be a friend getting married. There's always going to be a family member getting married somewhere, and sometimes you can't afford it. Now, I'm not saying like never go to a wedding. I'm not saying that at all. Kind of the way the article put it is that 56% of Americans are okay saying no to a wedding invitation, but then give you some alternatives to where you can say yes. So like, for example, find out other people that are going and maybe share a hotel room, right? That's a real thing. Or find other people that are going and sort of split up what gift you're gonna give the bride and the groom, right? These kind of things, because this is real. If you ever had this experience, I've mentioned it before, but it happens to a lot of people. You could have like 4 or 5 weddings in the same year. Say it's just, for whatever reason, you're at that age where all of your friends are getting married. And then you're flying all over the country, or even world for that matter, depending on where your friends are, to keep up with other people's weddings. And you're kind of under this peer pressure of like, well, if you don't come to my wedding, you're a jerk, right? It's the same thing as like if you watch whatever YouTube channel and they make you feel like, hey, if you don't invest whenever doggy coin, you're completely missing out, right? And you get that crazy FOMO, like, oh my God, I gotta buy said doggy coin. And there's always people out there like, oh Chris, you're so dumb. You're missing out on the greatest investment of all time. This doggy coin is gonna be worth a gazillion dollars. I'm gonna be a millionaire, billionaire, quintrillionaire, right? These kind of things. And you're gonna be crying, well, I'm gonna be so rich. And so there's people always out there that tell me the said things. And my response to that stuff is, hey, if you're super rich off your doggy coins, go enjoy your doggy coin millions life, and I'll be happy doing my thing, because I'm sticking with the plan that works for me. And this is sort of what I want to share with you, like find a plan that works for you. Guys, I'm 49 years old. You may not know this. I share this all the time. And one of the reasons why I stay young is I just keep my stress levels low. There's nothing that will age you more than crazy amounts of stress, right? And you can get overstressed at work, you can get overstressed with your family, overstressed with finances, any number of reasons of things that overstress you out. And one of the best ways, honestly, to cut down on stress is just not worry about money. If you're not worried about that, then suddenly, like, stress just really, really disappears. And this goes back to every month, if you're not overextending yourself and you're saving and you're investing, you know, whatever percentage of money that makes sense for you each month and locking that money away, you're not worried. Like there would have to be like a really, 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 really crazy emergency for you to get worried, right? Like, you know, your house melts down, the world blows up, like everything's controlled by zombies and AI robots, right? But in that situation, we're all going to be like crazy, crazy worried, right? That's the point I'm trying to make for you is that stick to your plan and suddenly everything else sort of is not a big stress anymore. And you're not worried about what other people think about you because you know that you're secure in your life. The other thing too I want you to be thinking about as well is like the more that you do this, sticking to your plan, setting money aside, the more easier it gets. You get used to living a certain kind of lifestyle. Basically, and I've shared this before on the channel, for me, after getting out of college, like I was so used to essentially living poor. I was just used to it. I was used to, you know, taking the bus, taking the subway. I didn't need to buy a fancy car. I was just used to that kind of life. And then when I went into my, you know, working life after college, I stayed the same. I always talk about the car situation because I think that's a big one that like a lot of young kids do right away. Like they get that first job and they just want to go out and buy the fanciest sports car ever. For me, I took that money and just socked it away. Like I don't know, I just didn't need a car or anything. And then suddenly, like the more that you do this, the more that it keeps building up. And these kind of talks, like I think a lot of people out there are searching for, you know, some sort of meaning or some sort of like secret to life. And I'm telling you what it is like stick to a plan that makes sense for you and don't worry what the other world or I said the other world or the rest of the world think about what you're doing. One of the things that is so challenging, and this is probably the hardest stuff when it comes to say in investing and managing money well, is like not deviating from the path that's been working for you. Because what happens is the more capital that you build up, people will figure out, oh, this person's got a lot of capital, right? This person's got a lot of money. I've got a new and exciting business plan for you, and all your friends and family will come to you and they'll ask you for money all the time. They always got some new hot trend to chase. And this is something that I'm just sharing with you guys. One really important piece of advice is never, never, never divulge your sort of, how can I say, we'll just say account balances to people, because then suddenly you got all these people lining at the door wanting to get said balance. That is a real thing. We talked about this before in a prior video where I posed a question to you: if you won the lottery, right? If you won the lottery today, how many people would you tell? And one of the advices that there was a person that won, and he does like a podcast talking to other people who won. But one of the advices is like, you know, keep it very, very private, because suddenly people start popping out the woodworks asking you for money, and I can tell you that that's real. Guys, I'm not saying never spend money ever, right? I'm not saying that. I'm more saying stick to your plan that works for you. Have separate accounts set up, meaning that some are just going to be for locking away, forget about it. Some are going to be maybe for like your vacation account, that kind of stuff, right? Hey, you know, a couple times a year, once a year, whatever. You know, whatever money's in that account, that's what you use that year for vacation. Like set a budget for yourself, and then you can have other monies and things for your daily expenses. And one of the best things that you can do actually early on in your career is get stuff just automatically taken out, right? This goes to my mortgage, that's automatically taken out. This goes to my car payment, although I always say this very clearly: pay cash for a car, don't get a loan, pay cash. But if you do get a loan, get an auto withdrawal the stuff, because essentially what you're doing is you're just kind of diverting your money, you know, each month, and then you sort of force yourself into a budget, and then include it with, say, your mortgage, your auto, your insurance, whatever you have to pay every month, because we all have stuff to pay. Have a set amount that goes to account, or more than one account actually, for your saving investment, and then just lock that money away and don't touch it. And then train yourself to be like, you know what, at the end of the month, if I'm kind of, you know, a little bit short, you just learn to live with that, right? Learn to live with less money. And so essentially what you're doing is you're sticking to your plan, because the more money that essentially you're socking away today will basically compound, and you'll have a lot more money tomorrow. So hopefully these sort of lessons are interesting and important to you guys, and I like to do this with you because I think it's important to, you know, sort of share a culture of sustainability, right? It's not about chasing like whatever particular hot trend that may be good this week but not good next week. It's about having a lifestyle that's going to be good forever, and essentially, you know, ensure that you're going to have a quality life. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, and I'll catch you all in the next video.